Hello everyone, this is your educator Priyanka Thakur. I'm teaching you life sciences and welcome you all on our YouTube channel Gurmantra Shiksha Ka Granth. So this is your phytohormone part 6 and we are going to know about the signaling pathway of cytokinin and abscisic acid. Okay, so I hope you're not having any problem in understanding the concept. If you have, then you can comment down in the comment box. I will try to resolve each and every of your problem. Fine. Okay, let's start with our today's signaling pathway, which is a cytokinin signaling pathway, as well as we are also going to cover the abscisic acid signaling pathway. We have already covered ethylene, gibberellin, and auxin cytokinin pathway. You can check out in the playlist if you haven't. Okay, so students are asking me to add some questions. So let me tell you, I take your practice session on every Sunday. So definitely you can join that session and can solve as many as question as you want. No, not as many as, only 15 questions will be there, but you can solve question on in that during that practice session. Okay, so let's start with our today's topic, that is signaling pathway of cytokinin. Uh, the ligand obviously will be cytokinin, and the receptor for the cytokinin is CRE1, also known as cytokinin response 1. This cytokinin response 1 is encoded by a multigene family. So the receptor in Arabidopsis, the receptor for cytokinin in Arabidopsis is Arabidopsis hybrid kinase. It can be hybrid Arabidopsis hybrid kinase 2, 3 or anything. Okay. So receptor possess a conserved extracellular domain called Chase domain. This Chase domain, it is the region where cytokinin binds with, and cytokinin binds to this Chase domain in a pH dependent manner. Okay. One important protein, AHP, also known as Arabidopsis histidine phosphotransferase or HPT, okay, it mediates the transfer of phosphate between sensor kinase and regulator domain. Now you need to understand what is sensor kinase and regulator component, regulator, response regulator. Okay, when I taught you the signaling pathway of ethylene, during that time I told you that it is a two component signaling pathway. Similarly, cytokinin signaling pathway is also a two component signaling pathway, but while teaching ethylene pathway I didn't exactly mention what is this two component signaling. In this video I will be telling you two component signaling as well. Okay, but remember, AHP is the protein also known as HPT, okay, which will be transferring phosphate between sensor kinase and response regulator. What is the receptor of cytokinin? It's cytokinin response 1, and in Arabidopsis it is Arabidopsis hybrid kinase. Okay, fine. And cytokinin binds to the Chase domain of receptor in a pH dependent manner. Fine. Now, as I told you that cytokinin perceived and transduced by two component signaling pathway. Okay. Arabidopsis response regulator. ARR stands for Arabidopsis response regulator, and there are two types of ARR. Actually, before telling you the actual pathway, I always tell you about the different terms or different components that are involved in the signaling pathway, so that it become easy for you to understand that pathway. I cannot tell you the pathway directly. So remember all these components, so it will become easy for you to understand the pathway and to memorize it as well, to understand and then memorize it. Okay, so we know that Arabidopsis response regulators are of two types. There is one type A, Arabidopsis response regulator, and other one is type B. So type A will only be made up of receiver domain, okay, and the rate of the type A gene, see, type A response element will be responsible for the activation of type A gene. So type A gene are increased within 10 minutes in response to applied cytokinin. One such protein is Arabidopsis response regulator 5, which is expressed primarily in the apical meristem of both root and shoot, and it regulates the cell proliferation, which is one of the key aspect of cytokinin action. And type B it is having a receiver domain as well as a C-terminal domain. And this C-terminal domain contain a DNA binding domain and a transcription activator domain. So these are transcription activators that act as a positive regulators of cytokinin signaling. So we now got to know that Arabidopsis response regulators are of two types. One is type A, other one is type B. Type A only will have a receiver domain and type B will have receiver domain as well as a C-terminal region. C-terminal region will be having a DNA binding domain and transcription activator domain. It means type B will be activating the transcription and will act as positive regulator of cytokinin signaling. Type A will also be involved in the signaling of cytokinin. Okay, but it has only receiver domain. It is not having any C-terminal domain. Fine. And the example of type A ARR is ARR5, which is expressed in apical meristem of both shoot and root, and is responsible for cell proliferation and is a cell proliferation as a key aspect of the cytokinin action. Now tell me, what is the receptor of cytokinin? It's CRE1. Okay, and in Arabidopsis it is Arabidopsis histidine kinase. There will be a protein which will be responsible for the transfer of phosphate group between sensor kinase and response regulator. Fine. Now all the components of the signaling pathways are clear to you, but before understanding the pathway, we will talk about two component signaling pathway. This is a simple two-component signaling pathway and this is a phosphorylate two-component signaling pathway. We are mainly going to discuss phosphorylate two-component signaling pathway. I mean, during signaling, this pathway is usually followed. Okay. So let's come to know about simple two-component signaling pathway. This is sensor histidine kinase and this one is response regulators. Fine. So sensor histidine kinase will be having an input domain and a transmitter, or also known as a receiver of sensor domain. Fine. Cytokinin, the binding of cytokinin will involve the input response at input, and then when there is an input signal, the histidine residue of histidine kinase, sensor histidine kinase, is autophosphorylated. After its autophosphorylation, there will be phosphorylation of receiver domain, the aspartate residue of receiver domain of response regulator. And the phosphorylation of aspartate of receiver of response regulator will activate the output, and as a result we will see the activation of transcription. In phosphorylate two-component system, there will be a hybrid sensor. The sensor will have histidine kinase as well as aspartate residue. The input signal will cause the autophosphorylation of histidine residue of sensor domain, and after that phosphorylation, aspartate of sensor kinase will be phosphorylated. Then HPT protein will be involved in between the transfer of phosphate in between this sensor and response regulator. After the aspartate is phosphorylated, then histidine residue of HPT or AHP will be phosphorylated. After its phosphorylation, it will move into the nucleus. Response regulator is present in the nucleus, and this HPT then phosphorylate the aspartate residue of response regulator's receiver domain. So the only difference in between simple two-component signaling pathway and phosphorylate two-component signaling pathway is that it is not having any HPT. Okay, and the sensor histidine kinase is also very simple. But in phosphorylate two-component signaling system, there will be a hybrid sensor histidine kinase. It will be having histidine as well as aspartate residue, and During this phosphorylate 2 component signaling, HPT or we can say AHP will be involved in the transfer of phosphate group from sensor to response regulator. Okay, so first of all, what happened? Input signal will cause the phosphorylation of histidine kinase histidine residue, and the phosphorylation, after phosphorylation of histidine, aspartate will be phosphorylated. Then after the phosphorylation of aspartate, HPT protein will be phosphorylated. After the phosphorylation, HPT will move into the nucleus where it will phosphorylate the aspartate residue in the receiver domain of response regulator, which will further result in the activation of output and activation of transcription as well. Okay, so let's come to know about the signaling pathway. This is not the full signaling pathway, this is just the half, and the half is on the next slide. Okay, so see what happens. Please be attentive and then do not tell me that you are not understanding. I'll be telling you each and everything very clearly, very simply. Okay, as we know that there will be a chase domain in the receptor of cytokinin. Okay, this whole structure, this is the one receptor, this is the other receptor. Okay, so while cytokinin signaling, the dimer of receptor will be formed. Fine, it can be CRE1 receptor or Arabidopsis histidine kinase receptor. Clear? Fine. And this sensor domain is present in the receptor itself. So chase domain will bind with the cytokinin. The binding of chase domain, which is acting as an input domain. Okay, so binding of chase domain will cause the phosphorylation, autophosphorylation of histidine residue in the his kinase domain. Then after the phosphorylation of histidine residue, there will be the phosphorylation of aspartate residue in the receiver domain. After the phosphorylation of receiver domain, there will be phosphorylation of histidine present in the AHP protein. It will be phosphorylated. Phosphate group will be transferred from receiver domain to this AHP. After this AHP is phosphorylated, it is moved into the nucleus, where this AHP is going to phosphorylate aspartate of receiver domain of response regulator. Once this receiver domain is phosphorylated, it actually then phosphorylate type B Arabidopsis response regulator. The activation of Arabidopsis type B Arabidopsis response regulator then activate the output domain, and that result in the transcription of gene encoding the type A Arabidopsis response regulators. Fine. Type B ARR will be involved in different cytokinin responses, but as we know, it is also having a DNA binding domain and transcription activator domain. It will cause the activation of transcription of type A ARR. Type A ARR, you know na, type A Arabidopsis response regulators. And then type A ARR are transcribed, which will be phosphorylated by AHP. Okay. After the phosphorylation of type A ARR, they will be involved in different functioning, they will be involved in the activation of different genes which are going to regulate the cytokinin functions. Okay, so this is all about cytokinin signaling. Remember, the phosphorylated ARRs, they will interact with various effectors to mediate the changes in the cell function appropriate to cytokinin. Okay, so this is all about cytokinin signaling. If you don't understand, I'm doing a quick revision. Okay, so let's start it again. This is the receptor. Okay, it will be CRE1, AHK2 or 3. Chase domain, cytokinin will bind to the chase domain. Okay, then there will be phosphorylation in the histidine kinase domain. and autophosphorylation will then lead to the phosphorylation of aspartate residue in the receiver domain. Then this phosphate will be transferred to the AHP protein. Then AHP protein, after getting phosphorylated, will move to the nucleus, and there it will phosphorylate the aspartate residue in the receiver domain of regulator response. This is whole the response regulator. Okay, so after its phosphorylation, type B Arabidopsis response regulators are phosphorylated, whose phosphorylation activate the output domain, and output domain phosphorylation then led to the transcription of genes which are responsible for type A Arabidopsis response regulators. Okay, so there will be the transcription of type A Arabidopsis response regulator genes, and here is our type A Arabidopsis response regulator. Now this will again be phosphorylated by AHP as well, and it will be involved in different functioning of cytokinin. Fine. Even type B ARR can also give some cytokinin responses. That is all. That is all about what? That is all about cytokinin signaling pathway. Okay. Fine. So this I have taken this from the Plant Physiology Theys and Zeiger book, so don't get confused. Okay. So let's start with our next topic, which is abscisic acid signaling pathway. What happens during abscisic acid signaling pathway? See, the ligand here is abscisic acid, receptor is pyrobactin, which or it can be pyrobactin like protein. PYL stands for pyrobactin like proteins. RCR, the regulatory component of abscisic acid. The receptor pyrobactin is activated when abscisic acid binds to this regulatory component. PP2C are protein phosphatase type 2C, or I can say these are type 2C protein phosphatases which are going to act as a repressor. SNRK2 are SNF1 related kinases whose phosphorylation is mainly responsible for the functioning of abscisic acid. Okay, it is mainly important for the signaling of abscisic acid. Then AREB, abscisic acid response element binding protein. Okay, and next SLAC1, slow anion channel associated 1, this will regulate the anion channel, and CAT1, it will regulate the potassium ion transport. Okay, these two proteins are mainly involved in the closure of stomata. SLAC1 and CAT1. Fine. So let's revise it again. Ligand is abscisic acid, and the receptor for it will be pyrobactin or pyrobactin like receptors or molecules. RCR will be a regulatory component in the ABA receptor. Binding of ABA to this regulatory component will activate the receptor pyrobactin. PP2C will be acting as a phosphatase, and SNRK2 is a SNF1 related kinase whose phosphorylation is important for the signaling, and AREB are the ABA response element binding protein, and SLAC1 and CAT1 are main proteins which are involved in the closure of the stomata. They will be regulating the ion transport. Okay, so let's first talk about the signaling pathway of ABA. What happens in the absence of ABA? If ABA is not present, then what will happen? In the absence of ABA, this pyrobactin will not be able to bind with PP2C phosphatase. Then this phosphatase will be acting upon SNRK2, and this SNRK2 is activated in phosphorylated condition. It is usually diphosphorylated, but it is a phosphatase, and it will be dephosphorylating the SNRK2. If SNRK2 is dephosphorylated, then there will be no, if there is no phosphorylation of SNRK2, there will be no ABA response, because in its dephosphorylated state, SNRK2 will not be able to phosphorylate other proteins which are responsible for the ABA response. Okay, it will not be able to phosphorylate the Arabidopsis ABA response element binding proteins which will be responsible for ABA responses. Fine. So you understand now, in the absence of abscisic acid will not be binding to the regular component of ABA receptor, then ABA receptor pyrobactin will not be activated. If pyrobactin is not activated, PP2C will be activated, and it will be causing the dephosphorylation of SNRK2. After the dephosphorylation of SNRK2, it will not be able to phosphorylate the other protein which are responsible for the ABA response. That's why if there is no SNRK2 substrate phosphorylation, there will be no ABA response. Now, what happened when ABA is present? What happened during the presence of ABA? See, during the presence of ABA, ABA will be able to bind with its receptor, and ABA will recognize 2C type of protein phosphatases, and there will be the complex form repressor and receptor complex. Fine. And now PP2C it will be degraded by PYR, okay, and it will not be able to bind with SNRK2, and SNRK2 is now phosphorylated. Now PP2C will not be able to dephosphorylate it. So SNRK2 is now activated, it is phosphorylated, it can phosphorylate CAT1, SLAC1, AREB, other protein and enzyme as well. And the phosphorylation of these all these proteins will activate them, and they will result in their respective function which are important for ABA response. Like CAT and SLAC1 will be involved in the ion transport. Okay, you understand the ABA signaling pathway now, or having any problem? Fine, clear, no doubt, fine. What is the receptor? PYR, pyrobactin or pyrobactin like receptors. Pyrobactin like receptor, they will be having a regulator component. Okay, ABA will bind to that regulator component first. If ABA is not binding to that component, PYR is not activated. PYR is not activated, it will not be able to bind with the PP2C, and will not be able to degrade it. If it is not degraded, it will be binding to the SNRK2, and SNRK2 will be dephosphorylated. Dephosphorylation of SNRK2 will not be will result in the deactivation of all these proteins, and if these proteins are deactivated, there will be no ABA response. And when ABA is there, PYR, pyrobactin, is activated, it will be binding to the PP2C, it will degrade the PP2C, and there is nothing which can now dephosphorylate SNRK2. SNRK2 is phosphorylated, okay, and then it will be phosphorylating other proteins, and all the phosphorylation of all these proteins will lead to the ABA response. CAT1 and SLAC1 are mainly involved in the ABA response. Fine. Now let's understand how ABA regulated stomatal closure takes place. Fine. Listen to each and everything very carefully. Do not get confused. I tell you again and again, if you are getting confused, you can comment down in the comment box. I will definitely be resolving all your doubts. You can also join our Telegram channel. You can get the link in the description box. You can ask the question there. I will be answering your question. Okay. So do not panic. Fine. Now see what happens in ABA regulated stomatal closure. Okay. If I'm a bit fast, you can just slow down the speed. Okay. See now. ABA will be binding to its receptor, and the changes we just read in the previous slide will be caused. Fine. And then SLAC1 and CAT1 genes will be phosphorylated, and all these changes will be caused by SLAC1 and what was the other one? CAT1 genes. Okay. See now. After the ABA binds to its receptor, ABA binding induces the formation of what? Reactive oxygen species, and these reactive oxygen species will now cause the activation of calcium in channels which are present on the plasma membrane. Okay, and after reactive oxygen species are like hydrogen peroxide and others. Fine. Reactive oxygen species will induce the activation of calcium ion channel on the plasma membrane, which will be result in the influx of calcium ions into the cell. Okay, and this is the third step. Actually, this is the third step. ABA binding also activate ADP, ribose, and IP3, and these will also increase the calcium ion concentration. How? They will activate the calcium ion channels on the tonoplast. Tonoplast is the membrane of vacuole. They will cause the release of calcium ions from vacuole. Ultimately, the calcium ion concentration is increases in the cytoplasm. A rise in the intracellular calcium ions is responsible for the blockage of potassium ion in channels. Okay, there will not be entry of potassium ions now. But what happens, as the calcium ion is increasing, it will also result in what? Out calcium ion, chloride ion out channels will be opened, and chloride ions will be released out of the cell. Okay, fine. These chloride ions are going out, potassium ions are not able to come in. Along with this, the calcium ion and the increase in pH will be responsible for the inhibition of protons channel. Okay, these proton pumps. See, all this will cause depolarization of the membrane. Depolarization of the membrane results in what? In the opening of potassium out channels. Potassium is not coming in. Chloride is going out. Protons are not coming in. Depolarization will take place. Potassium ion out channel will be opened. Potassium ions are also going out of the cell. Ultimately, these ions, potassium and chloride ions, are coming out of vacuole first, and then they are going out of the cell. Here you can see solutes are mainly going out of the cell, and they are not coming in either. Okay, it will result in the decrease of osmotic pressure. You know that osmotic pressure is directly proportional to the solute concentration. If a solute is going out, there will be low osmotic pressure, and low osmotic pressure will cause a decrease in turbidity, and that decrease in turbidity will be responsible for the stomatal closure. You understand the whole process now, or still having some confusion? I hope you understand it. I am telling this process again. See what happened. Once ABA binds to its receptor, ABA will bind to receptor. Receptor will then bind to PP2C. PP2C will be degraded. SNRK2 will be activated, and SNRK2 will be causing the phosphorylation of all other proteins. It also includes SLAC1 and CAT1. And these SLAC1 and CAT1 are responsible for the stomatal closure. They will be performing their function now. There will be the activation of some reactive oxygen species. The reactive oxygen species formation will cause the activation of calcium in channel. Calcium will come inside the cell. What are these cells? You know now what are these cell? Guard cells. Okay. Then there will be activation of ATP ribose and I3, which will cause the further release of calcium ion from vacuole to the cytoplasm. Ultimately, the concentration of calcium ion increases. Now, this calcium ion concentration is going to do what? It will be inhibiting the potassium in channel. Okay. It will cause the release of fifth step. In sixth step, it will cause the activation of chloride out channel. And in seventh step, the increased calcium concentration and pH increase will be inhibiting the proton in channel, and whole this will cause dephosphorylation of membrane, and dephosphorylation of membrane results in the activation of potassium out channel. Potassium will be releasing out of the cell, and all these potassium are coming out of vacuole, and chloride, all these potassium ions and chloride ions are first coming out of the vacuole, and they are then going out of the guard cells. Finally, these ions are going out and not even coming in. Then there will be a decrease in the solute concentration. Decreased solute concentration result in decreased what? Osmotic pressure. Decreased osmotic pressure result in decreased turgor pressure, and turgor pressure is responsible for the rigidity or turgidity of the guard cells. Ultimately, if turgor pressure is now lost, there will be closure of stomata, because our guard cell will no more be turgid. This is all the abscisic acid signaling pathway. Hope you understand it. And this is the detail of paid classes on the Unacademy. You can join Unacademy. You can take the subscription of Unacademy if you want to prepare for CSIR that June 2021. Okay, you will be getting the classes from a number of educators there. Neha Tanisha ma'am is also a very good educator on the Unacademy platform. To get the 10% off in your fee, you can use the referral code NEHA. Do not use any other code. You have to use only the code NEHA. Okay, so along with this, we are also teaching you, and I hope our classes are also helping you in your revision or anything like in understanding the concept. So do not forget to press the bell icon. First of all, please do subscribe to our channel and then press the bell icon. Check out the description box where you will get the link for this different platform of Guru Mantra. You can join the Guru Mantra Telegram channel. You can join us on Facebook. And yes, if you want to if you want to ask any doubts, you can join us on Telegram. Text there. I'll be responding to your queries. Okay, thanks for today. Bye bye. Let's meet in the next lecture. Take care.